It can, but homo, like, the
and
words...
NBA player said no homo, I got fined for it last year.
Like, the words homo and, faggot, like, they're used really loosely now.
Yeah.
Isn't that what the slur
Especially
is?
Like, they're really, like, yeah, I mean, like, some people use it, like, to, like, insult a gay person or whatever, like, some, like, people use it in conversations to talk about their friends, like, oh, what up, faggot? Just, like, on some, like, kidding type stuff, but they're used more loosely than they were, like, maybe, I don't know, like, 4 years ago, like, when I was in high school, like, if you said it, then that meant, like, oh, that person's gay, or that person's sweet, or that person isn't manly or something. They're not masculine or something like that. Nowadays, it's used loosely.
What?
It's not a word that you're going to think of to insult a person, like, immediately.
I was going to say, I think some of that, too, is sort of the reverse of sort of what should happen. So when people get more comfortable with, like, things that they were sort of xenophobic with before, they sort of use slang terms. So, like, for instance, trying to, like, end racism, like, you know, white people can say, like, nigga, too, but, like, sort of, it doesn't ease the issue. It doesn't ease the issue by sort of, yeah.
Wait, okay, let's talk about that. Like,
But white people do say it in hip hop. A lot of white rappers, they still say they do say nigga, and it's like, oh, you know, I mean, he black though. A lot of, like, I hear all the time, like, a lot of white guys and, like, urban white guys and whatnot. It's almost like they get a pass, I guess I should say. They're like, oh, he black. He's like the honorary black guy.
No.
So they don't mind when he say nigga.
Which one is
But-
that?
Do you guys remember Gwyneth Paltrow tweeted niggas?
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Wait, who did what now?
Honorary
Gwyneth
black guy.
Paltrow.
Gwyneth Paltrow was at a show in Paris with Kanye West and Jay-Z. They performed their song, you know, niggas in Paris, and she tweeted hashtag niggas in Paris. And a lot of people got mad because
No, she said literally though. So
Honestly, I
she
think
was
the
kinda-
best way to, like,
Literally.
the best way to define the N-word is how Chris Rock said it. Is it okay for a white person to call a black person a nigga? The answer is not really. Like, as simple as that. Like, if you say it, you can say it, but you're not gonna say it around a group of black people. It's just that simple. I work at Corner Bakery, and it's white girl. She's like Italian or something else, and she says it a lot. And I'm like, bro, you gotta chill on that. Like, I'm not being like super Black Panther or nothing like that, but like, chill on that. And she was like, well, I hang around black people and I dated a black guy. I'm like, that's like me saying, if I hang around a lot of white people and I dated a white person, that means I can call whomever a redneck or something derogatory from a Caucasian, whatever. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's not the same thing. Like, I don't know. It's just something you shouldn't say.
But see, yeah, that says something that you have a coworker that feels that comfortable
The funny
saying,
thing is she's
yeah,
in high school, though. Like,
yeah.
she's in high school and thinks it's cool that she
She's
goes to
Latina,
lane.
right?
No, she's Italian. Like, she's Italian, Caucasian, and some other stuff.
And what
She's
high
like,
school
it's
does she go
cool.
to?
She's
super
she
white.
goes to Lane Tech.
She goes to Lane Tech. Wow.
She said Italian, like she's super white then.
Like she thinks it's chill because she hangs around black people. It's like, well, that's not
Well,
cool.
I think the fundamental problem with that is, like, we sort of don't define as a community what's okay, and it never will be. Because, like, the NFL I was talking about earlier is interesting. They're trying next year to have a system where they fine players if they hear them use the N-word on the field. And the players are like, well, that's not really, like... so, like, you're going to get a lot of money, but it's not going to change much because you can't tell black people not to say the N-word, and that sort of goes to the root of it. Like, would black people be willing to stop using the N-word? Because at this point, to be honest, I don't think I would.
I mean, you had Al Sharpton
It's just,
who
it sort of
did an
came
actual
into...
funeral for the word.
Yeah.
And, like, I think shortly after that, Nas came out or was planning on trying to come out with
the
an
album
album
nigga.
saying nigga. Like,
Yeah.
that's not it's not going. You're never going to have a generation where they're not using the word nigga. It's unfortunately it's implemented in our brain.
Too ingrained.
You hear it from your moms, you hear it from your grandma, you hear it from your uncles, you hear it anywhere you go. I mean, but this is real talk though. You hear the word, you know what I'm saying? So it's like you grow up with it around you. So it's like it's up to you on where to use it. Like, you don't always have to. You just need to know where to use it. Like, if you're like in school or if you're at work or depending on where you work and it's just like, I don't know, a lot of important people, you're not gonna greet the next African American around you like, yo, what up, nigga? Like, just
So-
It's
it's
kinda
just
just
not
like-
it's
Let's,
disrespectful,
let's-
but it's
But
really
it's
unprofessional.
also it's like certain places and times. I know I've been at work and a coworker man, he's black, and he always saying, you know, nigga this, nigga that, and I'm like, okay, you know, chill, we're work, you know. Even though you and I don't make
And where do you work at?
I work at Menards. But it doesn't
And
make
what
me-
race is he?
He's black.
Okay.
You know, we're both black, but even though we're comfortable saying it, you know, my white coworkers, they're like uncomfortable. You know, these nigga this.
Yeah, white people
It
get
gets-
really uncomfortable.
You know, it gets uncomfortable. I feel like it's
They get really uncomfortable when they say
Yeah,
it
It's
all.
like now, I feel like
Okay.
it's more so a term of endearment because it's like you ask somebody, you know, so yeah, that's my nigga. Instead of being like, that's my friend, or that's somebody that I know, you'd be like, yeah, well, that's my nigga. You
And
know?
that's like where the
Or even-
distortion comes from.
Yeah.
Because white people are like, they're uncomfortable because they're trying to figure out, so is it
Like, so do
acceptable
we
for me to
say
say
it
it?
because it's we're talking about
It creates
friends,
a
or
tough
do we
precedent.
say
But-
it because
Well, let me
it's like, no, don't say it at all.
well let me ask this because somebody, I think it was you, mentioned niggas in Paris
right.
before. Now, what do you think about this? Kanye had niggas in Paris, but Kim got called a nigga lover in L.A. when she was shopping by this guy who was holding the door open for her. You guys hear about that?
Yeah.
And she went and called Kanye and for Kanye to stop this dude. You know, he called her a slut and nigga lover. So I mean, what do you think about that? I mean, here, you know, it's the same word. He's got a hit song that has the word in it, but he comes and gets an altercation with this guy. What do you think about that vibe?
We don't. I'm
Oh,
I think
hold on,
that,
we'll come
I think
back.
that in general, like, Ye probably wasn't even cool with the whole Gwyneth Paltrow situation. You know, but he knows. I mean, he has a whole his single for his album is literally talking about that type of stuff. You know, but let's really talk about because we operate in the hip hop culture within the city, and here's what I want people to understand. When you go to a hip hop concert, I've seen hip hop concerts from the United Center to the Metro. I've seen a bunch of them. It's white people there, majority white male.
Out of 100, like 75%.
Yeah, like
Yeah.
out of 100, it's 70% white. Then white male. Then like I probably throw in like a dash of white girl. Then like Latino male, and then like black male, and then black female, and then like that's on the end of the spectrum. Like, and I've run across a lot of most of the engineers in the city that do music, videographers, run blogs, run media and music within hip hop. And this is just not Chicago; it's everywhere. But I'm saying my personal experience. They be so comfortable around the culture so much and around the people. They feel like, oh, I'm a part of it by default, so I can use the N word. Now here's my when Chris was talking about the term of endearment. When I run into them, I be like, so why do you want to say the N word so bad? They don't have no real reason for why they want to say it. They just want to be cool.
Yeah.
You know what I'm trying to say? And how is that any different than...
It's a part of the song, man.
Yeah, you know, how's that any different than a kid beating up on another kid because everybody else is doing it because it's cool, trying to be cool? You know, it's not about that. It's about like, you know what? That's not a part of the culture that I'm really realizing. I think that some of these kids also... They can't talk to their parents about this. We can go talk to our parents because we're black and we're ethnic, and we can go talk to our parents about the N-word. You know, they have to, they'll bump A$AP Rocky and Chief Keef all day in the crib, but as soon as that the garage door open, turning it off. Because their parents not supposed to let them know. They not supposed to, they don't want to know. It's still a problem. Even though hip-hop has been around since the 1980s. It's still an issue. It's still prevalent. And it's all within our culture, though. I did something with the Master 4, talking about world star hip hop and stuff. You gotta remember, you know, the majority of the people in this country, although it's evening out now, it's still, when something is popular, that means that white people like it. Usually white youth. When you got white youth that live out in the Evanston area and ain't see the black person ever really, you know, he gonna world star hip hop every day, seeing black people wilding out, using the N-word, doing that as the third. He gonna think that that's how all black people operate. He can't talk to his parents about it because you know what? His parents don't want him to. He don't want to let his parents.
But you know what? Like, just take it a step farther. Like, think about groups like Our Future, or like you said, A$AP Mob, and unfortunately, one of the any song from A$AP Mob or Our Future, or even a Pro Era song, has a lot of niggas in it. And even though black people are the main consumer, you gotta think about, like you just said, that consumer that lives in like Minnesota or something.
Yeah.
They don't really hang around black people, but they really like hip hop. And so when they see this, and again, that cool factor, and they get around people they think are cool or whatever, and they think they being accepted by whatever group of people that have a lot of black people in it, they're gonna see if they can get away with saying the N-word. So it's kind of up to that group of African Americans to be like, yo, like, you gotta have to chill on saying that. Like, that's not cool. You know what I'm saying? But if the black people aren't sick, I've been around groups of black people that it might be like an occasional white person or Latino person or whatever, and they'll say the N-word. And they'll say it just like we would say it, but like the group of people won't say nothing. And I'll be like, I won't say nothing. I mean, at the end of the day, it's whatever. But then I ask later, I'm like, bro, like, why do they think it's cool? I'm like, oh, that's one of the homies
Well, Chris,
or whatever.
that's what made you different, because I don't play that. Like, you know person.
I'm talking about them.
Oh yeah, but in general, like, I would just feel like I gotta step out. I can't be. I have literally, like I said, most of the people that work within the Chicago music industry, that do some of the technical stuff are white people. I've technically stopped working with mugs for doing that. And they want to be all out their body. I'm sorry, it'd be just with you. I'm like, no, it don't have to be just with me. Then you're not learning anything. You fucking racist. Like, my whole thing is like, okay, I want America to just know that in bum whatever Colorado to bum whatever Florida, whatever you want to call it, where it's an all white community, the white kids between 13 and 18 are calling each other niggas.
Yeah.
Like how we say it. You know what I'm trying to say? Probably don't see black people ever really outside of the internet or the TV, but they calling themselves niggas all damn day. And the problem that lies when they come up to the big cities for college purposes or going to work and stuff like that, and they get to me for the first time dealing with that, is that because their parents never got an intervention from their parents about why this is. When they go to school, they get like a chopped up version of what slavery is to this country, or what black people usage and what they did in this country. They get a chopped up version of that. Nobody gives them an education until they're confronted into a situation like that. Then they got to reevaluate their whole life. They're going to be like,